Hello there, welcome to Theiabodium and welcome to my review of Bioshock. This is more just going to be a review of my experience, because if you really want an in-depth review of that game itself, go check out the Actman's video. It's an hour long. I'm sure he spent so much time making that video, and it's so much better than anything I'm going to say here, because again, he did a lot of research. He's played the game many more times than I have. And so he knows a lot more about what he's talking about. He also just knows a lot more about the stuff that he's talking about in regards to video games as a whole. So seriously, if you want a more in-depth review of the game as a whole, just go check out his video. It's a lot more in-depth than this one's going to be. This is just more about my experience, and I honestly plan for it to be a really short video because I don't have a lot to say that he hasn't already said. My experience with the game has been a great one, personally. I enjoy the game. It is a challenging experience, especially in the beginning. I played it on its hardest difficulty, and honestly, the one problem with the game is that it might be able to do without the Vita chambers constantly being able to revive you, but even that has its place in the game, including in the story. As the Actman mentions in his video, everything is explained in the universe. It doesn't take you out of the immersion. You don't just respawn. The Vita chamber is a way to explain how you respawn, and it's a really good way to explain away things like that, and so that it doesn't break the immersion. Whether or not the scientific realism of whether a Vita chamber could exist or not, or any of the plasmids for that matter, doesn't matter. It's about the immersion. It's about how this game explains in its own fictional universe how everything works, even if it's in a very simple way, and therefore your brain never goes, well, that's not how that works. You know, that doesn't just happen. That's obviously just a gameplay mechanic. Every single gameplay mechanic is explained away through the story as well, and it's done so in a very good way, so it doesn't break your immersion into the story. And I can definitely see that perspective. As I played the game, even in certain instances where I got pretty frustrated, nothing ever broke my immersion from the game. Another thing is just the choices that you have when you play the game, down to the more story-oriented ones, like whether or not to harvest or save the little sisters, or just what corridor you want to go down to. Like, the arrow's pointing you in this direction, so obviously you're supposed to go here, but you probably want to explore and get some more stuff, so you go to tons of different areas first and enjoy doing them, and you get more stuff and you become more powerful, and it's just a lot of cool stuff like that. You explore a lot. I think the game is very fun because of all those choices that it offers you of where you want to go, or the story-oriented choices. And choices, especially in gameplay where you're choosing where you want to go, they have real effects on the gameplay, because later on you might not have something that could have made your life easier, or could have just made it experienced in a different way had you gone down a different corridor and found a specific plasmid or something like that. Not to mention that they hide things very well. Like, even if you go down a corridor, as I did many times, you'll miss stuff, because I missed plenty of stuff. There's stuff that you won't get because you forget to use telekinesis, like I did through half the game, because stuff is cleverly hidden. I remember one point early on in the game, I tried to shoot open a wall with an explosive shotgun instead of using telekinesis to bring the stuff to me, and that's just a simple thing. You know, there were plenty of hints that I probably should have used telekinesis there. I was just being dumb. But the point is that they have stuff hidden everywhere, and there's always a way to get it, and a lot of times it even makes sense in the story. Like, there's some small things that you can pick up, and you hear audio logs to figure out a little bit of a story to it. There's story to everything in that game, and that's one of the beautiful things about the audio logs, how you can listen to them while you're exploring and doing other things. They add to the experience of the game so much. And then you get to the end of the game, and you're fighting Frank Fontaine, and it's one of the most enjoyable boss fights that I've ever had, because, as I mentioned, I'm not a big boss fight person. Not to say that I don't necessarily like them all the time, I prefer if they're done well and it's not just the same repetitive stuff over and over again in boss fights. That's not my thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, it's not my thing. But the boss fight here was done in such a way, it had so much weight in the story that I didn't mind it, and it made sense. Again, it made sense in the story. He wasn't just super powerful just to be super powerful. He was super powerful because he was Frank Fontaine juiced up on a crapload of Adam and was ridiculously strong. Like, basically had superpowers, and you were fighting someone who you kind of had some superpowers of your own, but they didn't work on him anyway. And then he also has the entire city at his beck and call, people who work for him pretty much, and that also kind of came into play where he starts throwing goons at you. It's just something that, again, the boss fight really felt like it had a reason for everything. You know, it's not just someone throwing guys at you to defend them just because it's a gameplay mechanic. It does it for a reason. So that's one of the reasons why I like the boss fight so much, is because it had so much weight in the story, and every single part of it just made sense in the story. It didn't break my immersion. It didn't feel like this is just a blockade, a boss fight, because it needs to be a boss fight. Like, it's not a boss fight just to be a boss fight. It's a boss fight because it should be. It makes sense in the story. He is a very powerful person, both in influence and in literal strength. And the ending of the game that I got is, of course, very heartwarming. If you save all the little sisters, it's a very heartwarming ending. And I'm glad that I went through the work to save all the little sisters and actually complete the game in that way. So I had a lot of fun with the game. The exploration, the gameplay itself was really fun. The story points littered throughout it, all the different story of the game is incredible. And I'm not going to get into the depth about the story because one, I don't know it well enough, especially not all the smaller story points, and two, it would take a long time because Bioshock has a massive story. That's pretty much it for this video. Again, if you want a more in-depth review, please go check out the Actman's video. He has an incredible video about this whole thing. And I really think that it's worth your time if you like the Bioshock game. And again, if you haven't played Bioshock, then please go play it for yourself. It is a great experience, and I guarantee if you enjoy playing video games, that is, especially single-player ones, you will enjoy the game. Also, I apologize, I know I sound a little bit odd, and I know I did in my last video as well. That's because I'm a bit sick. I have been for the past few days, but I'm still rolling out content. I've got a lot of other stuff I'm working on, though, so that's another reason why this video is a bit of a shorter one. I don't have as much time to create content as I would like right now, but I want to stick with this schedule of a video every 2 days until I get a job, because at some point soon, hopefully, I will be getting a job, and assuming I do get a job, I'm going to have to drop the schedule. I can't keep up school and work and this, and having a job to save up money is more of my priority right now, so I'm going to probably drop down to 1 video a week if I can get a job. There may not be a warning when that happens, then again, maybe there will be. I don't know what my job's going to be like or when they'll start me, but hopefully I can still create some content that I enjoy, and if I'm spending a full week in between content drops, then maybe I'll be able to increase the quality a good bit too. So I hope that you all enjoy this video. It's, again, probably closer to one of the last ones that I'm going to be able to do this once every 2 day things. But with that being said, for now, until I do get a job, I will continue to do that. So look forward to another video in 2 days, because I guarantee I have enough time to do that. So until then, I'll see you in 2 days. If you liked the video, then consider hitting the like button and subscribe to see more content like this. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk with you in the next one.